Am I going to be looking at your ceiling the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Welcome back to This Week in Film. It's the weekly podcast where we get together and talk about the movies we saw over the past week. I'm Nick Pronto, joined as always by Midwest Matt Lauer. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
It's been a week. Have you seen any movies?
I did. I saw Get Out and Unbreakable.
Oh, Unbreakable. Awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Get Out yet.
Went way back in time.
They're making a sequel to that right now.
To Get Out?
No, to Unbreakable.
Oh. So that's part 3.
There's a part 3? There's a part 1?
Well, the Unbreakable is the first in a trilogy.
Right. What was the second one? Signs?
No. But that would be a spoiler for another movie, so I don't know if I should answer that or not.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you think of Get Out?
Actually, I saw Get Out in the theater when it came out, and I really liked it the first time around. I thought it was really smart. And on the second viewing, I enjoyed it equally and realized that there's actually a lot of little things that the first time seeing it, I kind of went, oh, those didn't really seem that necessary. But knowing everything that you know once you've seen it once everything's kind of come together at the end of the movie, these little things that seem a bit like unnecessary, like they're not jump scares, but that kind of thing, where it seems a little bit like a cheap way of making you confused or jumpy or whatever. They actually make a lot of sense. They make a lot of sense in the context of some dialogue earlier in the film that doesn't seem that important the first time through.
Okay.
I think it's for anyone who hasn't seen any previews, I guess, what the film is about is you start out meeting a young interracial couple, and they are going to visit the guy in the relationship is black and the woman's white, and they're going to visit the white woman's parents for the weekend.
Yeah.
And once they do, horror things ensue. And I really don't want to spoil much, especially since you haven't seen it. A lot of people probably haven't. But there's a lot of social commentary on race, which it's a movie from Jordan Peele.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen Key and Peele, but from what I understand, their work together's pretty racially focused. I guess I'm wondering if you agree with that, because I know you watched their stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have it's a lot of smart comedy kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so that's how this feels. It's like it's a pretty intelligent look at not racism as people are generally familiar with it, where it's just like hate based, but more like stereotypes and prejudice that's a little more subtle and maybe a bit unintentional. And as a social commentary, it's very smart. And as a horror movie, it's actually really effective too. It's got a great atmosphere to it, and the acting is really good. The main actor in particular, I actually need to look up his name. He was also in Black Panther. He is.
What?
Yeah, he was in Black Panther as T'Challa. That's the main character, right?
Yeah.
His friend.
His friend. Yeah.
And man, is he good. He is. There are so many scenes in this film where he's got to express a lot just in his face,
Uh-huh.
and he does such a phenomenal job. There are so many moments where he's uncomfortable, but also playing things off and in a, to kind of be polite or kind of get along with things. And his ability to show mixed feelings is incredible. And there are actually quite a few actors in the movie who need to do things like cry while smiling and things along those lines where there's this conflicted set of emotions going on within them. And I'd say everyone who has to do that sort of thing does a great job. And he's one of those people where I'd be willing to watch movies just because he's in them at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So strong recommendation on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Because this week I watched 2 movies. Also,
Nice.
I watched a movie from 1988 called My Neighbor Totoro, which
I've heard that.
It's a Japanime movie from Hayao Miyazaki.
Mhm.
It's one of those movies that I've heard about forever that's supposed to be excellent. And it's an animated film, like I said, and it was okay. It was I don't understand why there's such a great love for this movie. It's basically about 2 girls and their dad who move out to the country to be closer to their mom who's sick and living in a hospital. And while they're like getting used to the new house, the 2 girls figure out that the house is like spirits live there. Like kind spirits, and then like outside the house in the woods nearby, this giant cat monster lives, and he's a good guy. He just likes he just likes to be friendly, and
like all giant cat monsters.
yeah, and but like other than that, I really don't have a lot to say about it. I mean, it was fine. It was a good movie. I'd recommend seeing it. But it wasn't like I've heard about this movie for forever. Like people always talk about it, and I'm like, I just don't get the love for it.
The people who have been talking with you about it, are they anime fans? I mean, to my knowledge, in conversations we've had, I haven't heard you say much about anime, so I don't know if that's something you get into much.
I don't really get too much into it. Like I don't like go out of my way to avoid it or go out of my way to see it. Like if there's if there's something good, I'll watch it. But the people that I talk to are internet people, like on message boards and
Gotcha.
and the whatnot. But yeah, I mean it was a fine movie. I mean it's really well done, but I don't understand the deep love for it.
Well, did you get the sense that if you were more of an anime fan, that it would be?
I did think
Something
about
you'd
that,
enjoy?
and no, I don't. I
Huh.
think one of the things that worked out well in its favor is that it's rated G.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it with my son and my daughter, and they enjoyed it. Like my son sat through the whole thing. My daughter got kind of bored at one point and walked away, but she's only 2. But my son sat and watched the whole thing. But like when it was over, he was kind of like, okay, it wasn't like he wants to watch it again.
Uh-huh.
But if he was gonna watch it again, I could put that's a movie that you can put on and like leave. Like you don't need to sit with them the whole time.
Okay. How old is that movie?
Uh,
Said
80,
1988?
88, yeah.
Huh.
It's got an 8.2 on IMDb for its score, and I'm like, and I just don't understand why.
Huh.
Like maybe I'm missing something deeper when it comes to the movie, but I mean it was fine. It had some cute moments, some moments where you laugh, and it's moving, but I mean it's an example of like fine, high quality filmmaking. And I know the Miyazaki guy who wrote and directed it. He went on to make other anime movies like Princess Mononoke
I've definitely heard of that.
and other ones. He's very famous. Like I know his, like if there's a Japan anime movie that you've heard of, it's probably one of his.
Like Spirited Away.
Yeah, I think that's one of his too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, maybe this is like one of his first movies. I didn't do any research, but I mean, it's a fine movie. That's really all I can say about it. Is it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I anime is one of those things that I hear a lot about. I hear a lot of people have strong positive feelings about it, and I feel like I should like it because I don't have any reason to think that everybody's wrong in any way. But for some reason, every time I've tried, I just haven't been able to enjoy it, like really get into it. The visuals are usually pretty amazing. Um, but it might be one of those things where there's so much to look at that if it were told in stills, like one still shot for 20 seconds while there's narration or people talking,
Uh huh.
and then another 20 seconds later, I almost feel like I'd enjoy it more that way because I feel like there's a lot to see on the screen. Almost like how in cartoons generally it's like whatever's in the forefront might have a bit of detail
Yeah.
and the stuff in the background's kind of not so detailed,
Right.
or maybe vice versa where the front's detailed but then the background has more detail but it's blurry.
Right.
um I don't know. I something about I feel like my eyes can't follow it all.
You know what? I think I have to agree with that. Like you, I don't have a ton of experience watching anime, but like there's just like a couple shows that I've watched, and this was very different. Like this looked like art.
Hmm.
Um, like you're saying, like the background pictures and the animation of the characters is all very good. Um, and the story is a solid. It's a solid story, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I just don't understand the love for it unless it's because it's rated G. Maybe people watched it when they were kids, and it's one of those things that they grew up with.
Mm.
Uh, and that's why it's so popular today. But it's
It'd be interesting to hear somebody go back to it after not seeing it for a long time.
yeah, yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean it's a cool movie. It's definitely worth checking out. My Neighbor Totoro, or by its Japanese title, Tonari no Totoro.
Hmm. I've seen a lot of movies with no Totoro.
Yeah, most.
That's a John Totoro joke.
um, but yeah, that's all I got to say about that movie. It's which is weird.
Tell you what, I'll try checking it out sometime and listening to it rather than watching the screen and see what happens.
Okay, I also watched it with the English dub, which I think always takes a little bit out of it.
Huh? Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the guy who plays the dad is the guy who voices Superman on the Superman cartoon, like the Adventures, the Superman the animated series,
Yeah.
which I should check into, but he sounded just like him.
Huh.
So I kept thinking that the dad was Clark Kent.
that shouldn't interfere with your experience at all.
Yeah. But then
What
you
else did you
said
see?
you
Oh, sorry.
saw you saw Unbreakable.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Unbreakable. I've probably seen Unbreakable probably 3 or 4 times now,
Uh huh.
and the first two or three were back in the day when it first came out.
Uh huh.
I saw it in the theater, and then I think I saw it on DVD once or twice, but back around that time. And I remembered really enjoying it and feeling like, as far as M. Night Shyamalan movies go, it was kind of second to Sixth Sense. Um, watching it the other day, I I still agree with that. Actually, I think it's still probably his second best movie. Um, but it had a pretty different feel for me than it did than I remember it having. Um,
Yeah.
there was a bit less action, and you know, plot wise, the idea of the movie is that Bruce Willis stars as Philadelphia Man, of course, because it's a M Night Shyamalan movie,
Right.
and he comes to the realization that he might more or less have some sort of invincibility superpower. Um, and I remember that kind of taking a while to occur to him, and then once it does, it, the action ensues
Yeah.
pretty quickly. But the pace of it's a lot different from that. The movie actually starts out with him pretty quickly questioning whether or not he's invincible, and then the process of that kind of coming together and figuring out what's going on actually is like the whole movie. Um, and I think it's pretty well paced out. Uh, Bruce Willis is fine in it. You know, it's back when he seemed to want to be an actor.
Yeah.
And there's actually, this is one of these rare movies where the kid actor is really good.
Uh-huh.
He has a son in the movie who, kind of wants him to be invincible, and kid's really good at emoting. He should. I don't know if he's still acting or not, but if he's not, that's too bad because
From what I remember, the kid does a lot of jaw open staring.
there's truth to that. But it's
But
pretty
he
good jaw
does
open
it really
staring.
well.
Yeah, he's good at it. Um, and and this is one of those M Night Shyamalan movies, of which there may only be two, where he has uh, edited out or had somebody edit out his bad dialogue. Because in my opinion, M Night Shyamalan writes like the worst dialogue ever,
Uh-huh.
and it's really limited here. There's no long meandering preachy speeches. I don't know if you've seen Split yet or not.
I haven't, no.
Okay, you should get around to watching that, and you should watch it soon.
Okay.
And that one has a little bit of it. There's one scene where this there's an older lady in the movie, and she's interacting with M Night Shyamalan because he can't not put himself in his movies, and there's definitely like a really long, unrealistic, overdramatic sentence about Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah. But even that movie's got it's got some of that M Night feel in the dialogue, but it's pretty limited. In this movie, I almost want to say there's none. Like The Sixth Sense, it doesn't. I don't think there was any part where I'm like, oh god, that is not how people talk.
Right.
Samuel Jackson's in it, and he's got some monologues to a degree, but they're not goofy.
Right.
And so anyway, I'd say if you haven't seen Unbreakable, check it out. If you have seen it, give it another try. Nick, I'd be really curious to see what. I don't know when the last time you saw it was.
It's been a while. But I love that movie. I think it's great. But it has been a while since I've seen it, and I want to watch it again, especially since they're making a sequel to it right now.
What's the sequel called?
Glass.
Okay.
It's about Mr. Glass.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that movie. I like the way that they did it. Like, I haven't seen it forever, so I don't feel super comfortable talking about it, but I like Unbreakable more than The Sixth Sense.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've heard people say that. I think there's probably a fair amount of like there's probably a pretty good evenness between people who like the two movies and actually, like Unbreakable more than Sixth Sense, or like Sixth Sense more than Unbreakable.
Right. Yeah, but it's definitely a quality movie, and it's really the last good movie he made before Split, which people seem to like.
Yeah, I think you'll like Split.
Um,
He had one before Split. I think it's called The Visit.
with the old people.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen that one?
No, I heard it's okay.
It is. It's okay. It's like between the long series of awful M. Night Shyamalan movies and kind of getting back up to speed with Split. The Visit's definitely he's moving in the right direction kind of thing. It's worth a watch. The kids in that have a little bit of goofy dialogue, but they're still pretty cool.
Good.
There's a brother and sister, and the brother raps for some reason. But it's actually kind of funny. So I'd say check that one out too.
Well, nothing beats the time that we watched what was it? The Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
And then
followed by The
Happening, and watching Lady in the Water before any movie will make it seem like an Oscar winner.
Yeah, I had seen The Happening before you and I watched it together and gone, man, this is really bad. And then we watched Lady in the Water and then The Happening like 20 minutes later. And I was like, man, this is a lot better than I remember it being. It's so good.
Lady in the Water makes anything seem like an Oscar movie.
Oh, man, that's one that we should dub over.
Yeah, that's true. Although we'd have to sit through it again.
I got no problem with that.
All right. But then this week, I also saw a second movie. I watched the Justice League finally.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It was terrible. It was really a bad movie.
Yes.
I made my wife sit and watch it with me, and
poor Jill.
Yeah. And she was like, "This is bad. This is really bad."
Is she usually pretty generous with movies?
She's not as tough on them as I am, but like if she likes something, she likes it, and if she doesn't like it, she doesn't like it. But this was the kind of bad that was fun to watch. And it starts. So if you haven't seen the Justice League, it's about Batman and his super friends all joining together to fight off evil or badness. And it's got Batman, Wonder Woman, and then it just ham fists Aquaman, the Cyborg, and the Flash, who is the best part of the movie. The Flash is the best part of that movie. I'll
agree with that.
And then the movie decides. So this is what Marvel avoided when they created the Avengers movie. Like by doing all everybody's separate stories first, they avoided this pitfall of we've got 2 hours to tell this complicated story. Let's not waste any of it on origin stories for characters. And this movie says, nope, let's do origin stories for half of the characters in the movie, but let's do poor origin stories.
Oh yeah.
Like the Flash, they gloss over everything about him and we go visit Billy Crudup in prison 15 times. Cyborg, I don't think they ever really explain what happened to him.
No.
And then Aquaman is just kind of like, I live in Norway. Deal with it.
I'm not going to help.
Yeah.
All right. Here I am.
I guess I'll help. Yeah. That's what Aquaman says.
I saw it in the theater and I agree with you completely. Like the origin stories are all kind of crammed in, and it's almost like out of obligation. It's just like, well, here they are, but we want to get through them so fast that they're all kind of on fast forward and there's no quality to it.
Yeah.
And then once they get done with that, you're like, well, why'd you rush through that? Because you don't have anything to follow it up with either.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the movie, like they introduce Wonder Woman because she does some super powered stuff at the beginning. But since we've already met Wonder Woman in her own standalone movie, all of the Wonder Woman and Amazon stuff makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we go and visit Cyborg's dad at the lab like 5 times, and you're like, I don't understand what's going on here. What's Star Labs? You know, like all that stuff. Poor storytelling.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be someone in the theater watching these people pop up and having never read any Justice League comics or,
Yeah.
Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman that includes the Justice League, because I would be like, who the heck is Cyborg? And even knowing that stuff, I still was kind of like, hey man, I kind of want to know a little bit more about this guy.
Yeah.
He looks like crap because these effects are terrible. But
they were terrible. They were really bad, especially the CGI lip they gave Superman.
Somehow I made it through the whole movie without noticing that, but I might have just been like singing circus music in my head or something.
I probably noticed it because I knew it was there. So I was like looking for it, but like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I'm just like, it looks so bad. And it looked like they're standing in front of a green screen the whole time. Oh, and then my wife and I's favorite part of the movie came right at the very beginning when Batman's taking out that like cat burglar guy. So Batman is in Gotham City, and there's a guy breaking out of a building, and as he's fighting him, he uses the bad guy to attract one of Steppenwolf, who's the main villain, Steppenwolf's soldiers. For some reason, Batman knows he's there in that alley, and he like dangles the man over the bug creature to attract him because he can smell fear. That's what's happening, right?
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Okay. The bug creature flies up and Batman fights it for a couple minutes, flies around town on top of it, and they land back on the same roof. And then the funniest thing that ever happened in the movie is Batman gets punched by the alien, and you think he's falling off the roof, but he's really just falling backwards a foot, and he shoots out a net to capture the bad guy. But the way they shoot him falling, you think he's falling off the roof when really he's just kind of falling back. Like it's this dramatic slow motion shot of him with his arms waving in the air, and then he shoots with his grappling gun a net that catches the monster on the side of a building. And then he just kind of stands up and walks over to the monster where it explodes.
Yeah, I don't remember that specific thing being like, I remember it being confusing. I don't remember quite that like dramatic slow motion to laugh at it. I kind of want to go back and see it just on YouTube or something. But I remember something similar where not in terms of like the drama of it, but just where I was like, why was this kind of edited this way? And it was actually there's a scene where Aquaman, I guess you could say it's out of character if you have a sense of his character after seeing him for a combined 33 seconds.
Right.
But he starts sharing his emotions, and it turns out that Wonder Woman has her lasso around him.
Oh, yeah.
So he's telling the truth. And it just goes by so strangely and quickly that I'm like, I feel like there was a joke there that was kind of funny, but it was cut in such a weird way that I didn't have a moment to like take it in or laugh at it.
Yeah.
I felt like there were a lot of moments that were kind of edited that way, and I don't usually notice editing, I don't think.
There's a lot of like the stuff that's Joss Whedon, you can really tell is Joss Whedon. Like that scene you're talking about where he's like expressing his true feelings. Like you can tell that that's Joss Whedon. There's a couple other like I bet a lot of the Flash is Joss Whedon. And like you said, that scene with Aquaman talking, you can just tell that they had time to rewrite the thing but not shoot it the way they wanted to. Because I mean, it looks like he grabs at his crotch
Yeah.
to pull up Wonder Woman's lariat, and it just doesn't work. Like it's kind of a cute scene, but then it's like ruined because they didn't bother to take a cutaway shot of the rope in his hands.
Yeah, and I feel like in this movie, I know DC's gotten a lot of flack for not having more humor and being dark in
Yeah.
their movies, but I feel like that's not the problem with the movies. The problem is that they're bad,
Yeah.
and that trying to improve it by throwing in jokes doesn't really work because they're not. I mean, I think you could have more humor. The Nolan Batman movies had moments here and there where there was a joke, usually from Christian Bale or Morgan Freeman,
Yeah.
that were pretty funny, but they were funny and they fit because they were in the right tone. They were the right sort of humor that was kind of like a smirk and kind of dry. And then here it's sort of like a goofy, lighthearted thing where there's some moment where like Batman's been injured and he's like, "Oh, yep, I'm definitely bleeding" or something like that, and it's kind of like, like it's got a wrong feel.
Like the stuff with the Flash, works really well. I think because of what you said, like it fits his character.
Yeah.
He's really shy. They establish by telling you that, like, I think he says himself, "I don't have a lot of friends because I'm annoying," and then for the rest of the movie he's kind of annoying, but like the stuff that he says is at least within his character.
Yeah, that might be why he is the best part of the movie, because he's the only thing that's sort of congruent.
Like Batman dropping his one-liners is obnoxious sometimes. Like when the Flash asks him what's his superpower, and he just goes, "I'm rich," and they drive away in the Batmobile. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't feel quite right.
Like Batman,
it's true. It's actually a statement that it should work as a joke.
Yeah. I mean, Batman shouldn't be making jokes. Batman's superpower isn't that he's rich; it's that he's an expert planner and preparer. He's more prepared for anything, and he works out a lot.
I feel like if you can picture Christian Bale saying it,
yeah,
you could see where it could work. Like if it was in a Nolan Batman movie, you could see where like again, it's sort of like tongue in cheek a little bit with a kind of a lazy wink, like here I am just being a little bit of a smart ass for a moment. But in that, it seems like I'm trying to make a joke, and it doesn't fit.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't. Just nothing really worked. The Flash I thought was great. Like I'm really looking forward to the Flash movie now, because he was really good. He was really entertaining. But like the next Justice League movie, I'm like, ugh, I got to sit through another 2.5 hour slog.
Are they still going to make a second one?
I don't know. See, I thought that this first movie was supposed to be a 2-parter originally, but I guess that changed.
Well, I thought so too. And then, I mean, I guess there was a end credit scene that I didn't stick around for. Like I thought the thing with Flash and Superman running, which came out of nowhere, was
and Superman's fake looking cape.
What's that?
His Superman's cape is all CGI. It looked really bad in that little scene.
I didn't really notice that, but like that, I thought that was the last end credit scene, and then I guess there was one later where like Lex Luthor for some reason.
Oh yeah. There is a final cutscene or end credit scene.
Did that hint at a sequel? I guess then.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Fair enough. The like you were saying about the Flash, you're looking forward to it because you like the Flash. And I can understand that, but it seem weird though to go from the Justice League to like the specific, like, here's a Flash movie, there's going to be an Aquaman movie. Doesn't it seem weird to you?
Yeah, and you know what they're going to end up doing is they're going to retell his origin, like
Yeah.
again. Like we got his origin in this movie, and now we're going to go to his movie. We're going to go to his standalone movie, and they're going to reintroduce us to the character when they should have just done the Flash movie first, saved everybody some time. It's such poor decision making, I think.
Yeah. The whole DC thing, I think, could have been a lot better if they weren't trying to catch up with Marvel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, it was terrible to sit through. My wife and I had a lot of fun watching it. It's definitely way better than Batman versus Superman. But that's... Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, it didn't feel like I was stuck there trapped for 4 hours. So I'm going to agree with that.
It definitely flew by. Like, we ended up having to watch it over 2 nights. And, excuse me. And the first hour flew by. Like, when we had to pause it to go attend to our many children. The first hour was already done. I was like, wow, that was quick. And then the second hour went by really fast too. Like, I think that this movie is going to be one of those movies you can just put on in the background.
Uh-huh.
And the action sequences are entertaining. But I mean, it's all show but no substance.
Yeah, it's just kind of eye candy. And it's not that great of eye candy since the effects are so poor.
Some of the effects are really bad. Like the bad guy, the Steppenwolf character, he looked terrible.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it looked like his size changed all the time. Like he went from being really tall to average height.
Well, and haven't we seen this guy already? You know, like, it's just like, all right, so this is a pale Thanos, or like kind of like the guy at the end of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Slightly different colors, or a version of the Thing that was in Thor Ragnarok, but with skin.
Right,
like,
right.
I got to say, I mean, I'm not a huge Marvel fan anyway, but I've been dreading when Thanos actually shows up, because I'm not expecting that to look that great.
Uh-huh.
And for him to be as intimidating as they want him to seem. I didn't see X-Men Apocalypse, but I feel like from the little bits I've seen, it's kind of like a preview of what we're going to see with Thanos.
Oh, really?
And then with these guys, with like the end of Wonder Woman and then Steppenwolf, I'm like, there's something about, and it was this way for me in the comics too, you know, reading Batman comics, where there's something about Darkseid and Thanos, like these guys that are supposed to be the big bad, and they just remind me of the Sentinels from X-Men, where I'm like, you just don't have any personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I saw the preview for the new Avengers movie and kind of felt that way, where I'm like, you know, I've kind of, these characters have, especially once Thor grew on me and Captain America grew on me, I'm like, these guys have grown on me enough that I do actually want to see another movie. I can't believe I'm saying that. But then when it's like, oh yeah, and it's been leading up to Thanos, I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know. Are you excited to see Thanos show up?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for this Avengers movie. Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna go. Like, it could go either way, but Marvel's track record is so good that
but not with villains.
No, the villains are their weak spot. But I mean, this movie has 22 main characters. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle everything.
That's true.
I'm really looking forward to it, and Marvel's track record is, to me, almost spotless. So, like, I kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they've been building towards this one thing for 10 years.
Hmm. Well, I will say that the preview, when, like, at the very end of the preview, when the guys from I'm just going to call them the Marvel movies, run into the guys from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, huh, okay, you, whatever you are.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that makes sense. Like, that's on point. But I
Yeah.
also feel like it's been so much. I guess if you look at it as lead up to these guys all coming together, that I have some faith in. But it also feels like it's been a lot of lead up to Thanos, and I don't. Aside from the Black Panther, and Killmonger, I don't have a lot of hope for the villain to pay off.
Yeah, you can't argue with that too much. Yeah, I gotta kind of agree. The villain, Marvel's Achilles heel has been their villains.
Yeah. Maybe if I had a sense of what the Infinity Stones actually are and do,
Right.
that might do something.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone who's never read any storylines about those things, I feel like I haven't gotten that from the movies.
Right. Right.
Do you?
Not really. No, I mean, I know the Infinity Stones are powerful and important, but mostly because the movies told us they were.
Yeah, and it was kind of like that in Justice League with the mother boxes, where it's like, these are really bad. And
Oh
like,
man, they
okay,
handled that.
why?
They handled that so poorly. Like, like he needs all 3 mother boxes. Okay, well, he got 2 of them. Let's just give him the 3rd one so we can bring Superman back to life. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert: Superman comes back to life,
And he is the Deus Ex Machina for some reason. Even though in Batman versus Superman, I kind of got the impression that Wonder Woman could have taken care of what's his name? I want to call him Godsmack. That's not right. Doomsday.
dude.
like I kind of got the impression that Wonder Woman could have handled Doomsday on her own. And then in this movie, in Justice League, it's like, well, y'all can go take a nap now that Superman's here.
Right? Yeah. That that Superman thing is so bad. So bad.
I did kind of like that he could see the Flash out of, like, he followed the Flash with his eyes, not because it was cool to see Superman do it, but it was cool to see the Flash's reaction to, like, oh man, he can see me.
Yeah, he's fast. And again, another good moment with the Flash. The other thing that I really didn't like about the movie, getting back to Justice League, again, is the characters' powers aren't clear. Like, I still don't really understand what Wonder Woman's superpowers are. I don't know what Aquaman's powers are, and Cyborg can do anything. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
like, can Aquaman fly or not? Because it looks like he can fly, but then he keeps getting picked up by people. And the hell was that?
That was my computer. Occasionally, it makes a springy noise.
Like, can Aquaman fly? I don't even know. Is that one of his powers?
I guess. I mean, I kind of wondered before. I think, as most people did, like, what can Aquaman do? Are there going to be a lot of fish and sea creatures involved in this movie?
Like, they joke
Turns
about
out,
it.
Nope.
They joke about it a bunch of times, like that Aquaman can talk to fish, but then he never does.
Yeah, he doesn't do much that's very aqua related.
Yeah.
He could just be called Landman. It would have been fine.
Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about the Justice League. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah. I don't mind that I did. I mean, I saw a matinee. And I think if I hadn't seen it in the theater, I probably wouldn't have seen the whole thing. I probably would have just shut it off.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as Batman versus Superman by a long shot.
Yeah.
Because that movie I wanted to walk out of.
Yeah, me too.
I just kept myself in my seat because I was like, if I leave, I'm going to be curious as to what, what I'm not getting to see, just in terms of like visuals and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I do not want to come back and watch the first half of this again, so I'm not going to leave. This one, I just was like, okay, this is really cheesy and not good, but at least I don't feel like I'm dying while I'm watching it.
Oh, you know what? One more thing.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck looked so uncomfortable to be in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, he literally looked uncomfortable in the suit. He looked uncomfortable as Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
And the costume, you could tell that he can't move his head, because anytime he has to like turn, his whole body turns again, which is something I thought we got away from.
Right. Well, and he looked uncomfortable interacting with the other people. He just looked like he didn't care at all.
Yeah.
All right, you're the Flash, just come along. All right, you're Aquaman. Good job being jacked.
Yeah.
Come along. There's almost a moment where he and Wonder Woman are arguing, where there's almost some dramatic tension.
Yeah.
But I felt like even that was mostly coming from Gal Gadot, not him.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, I guess that's where we're going to wrap things up for this week.
Right.
We're running short on time here, so...
No time for a game today. Huh?
No time for games. No Batman versus movie today. But anything to plug, Matt? Anything you want to put out there?
No, not this week.
Okay. I don't either. I would normally recommend our website, but I haven't updated it in quite some time. So if you want to go check out what it looked like around week 63, you can at thisweekinfilm.com. But if that's the end of the reel, we'll see you next week in film.
Bye.